is Cassidy.
And welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of Preacher, Sonsofbitches.
And I am all out of crack.
Why the hell are they shooting goats at us? Although, had it been Doug, the male goat, I would have been fine with that. Oh, Doug is no longer with us. Not because I'm shooting him at people, but because he has a home elsewhere that is more appropriate to his needs.
He's in the grinder swamp consomme.
He is not. You almost made me spew juice on my microphone. Not consomme.
Oh. Yeah, so I watched it and I messaged Dianne, like, at the beginning of the episode, you know, they were talking about swamp consomme, and I'm like, oh, see, it is delicious. I knew it was going to be delicious. And then by the end of the episode, I was like, oh, wait.
That is so funny. I did not realize you had not watched the full episode when you said that to me. I thought you were yanking my chain.
No, I was like live messaging you the show, and I was like, oh, swamp consomme is delicious. And I was like, oh. But why does, like, Cassidy looked grossed out. I was like,
right, why would he be grossed out? He should be like, hey, this is right up my alley.
Exactly. No wonder why Cassidy likes it.
And no wonder he was feeling so good. In spite of being a bullet magnet.
And, like, walking around in the sun with one of those stupid umbrella hats.
Oh, my God.
That can't be working.
I have a comment about that. That was very funny.
All right.
But I'm saving it.
Okay.
So, how did you rate it?
I rated it a 4.2 voodoo telegrams.
Oh, my God. You rated it so much higher than I did.
It's all the little nuances for me.
Oh dear, I rated it 3.25 out of 5 mud-speckled troglodytes.
I will admit, that's funny because I love that word.
It was great.
I will admit this was a very middle booky episode.
But you rated it so high.
We'll get into it.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I have no numbers. I looked and looked for numbers, and I could not find anything other than that this last episode, the premiere, did not make the top 25 or for 18 to 49 or the top 25 overall for the day on which it premiered.
Oh, that's so disappointing.
It did not make it for the week. And the only thing that gave me any consolation was, guess what was 25 out of 25?
What?
Westworld's finale. So if Westworld's finale was doing that poorly, it was a bad week for television.
Yeah, Westworld it had too much going on. There's just, I feel like I can't watch a lot of the shows that I like without actually listening to some sort of compendium episode, whether it be some sort of like Talking Preacher, which is not on. Don't get into that because we have controversial opinions. But or listening to like I think there is a Talking Westworld, or reading all of the articles, like consuming all of the media that surrounds it. I feel like it's really hard to keep track of a lot of the stuff just because it's so in-depth and convoluted. And I really, really just want to play Brick Breaker while I'm watching your show and not have to pay attention all the time.
If it's that convoluted, if it's that hard to watch, it's not going to hold on to people. Which, again, as I have said for 2 seasons and 2 episodes, that's my worry about this show.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing that I will say is that it was a huge news week. It's been huge news weeks the last couple of weeks. And all I can say is that on cable, most of the things that were in the top 25 were news programs.
Yeah. And what's funny is I watch the shows that I watch because they're so not real life.
Because you want to stay as far away from the news as possible.
Yeah, except for hashtag Second Civil War letters.
Oh my God.
So
anyone who has not looked at that?
So I don't care if you're left, right, or center. That stuff is funny. Go on Twitter and go to hashtag Second Civil War letters. Oh, we're podcasting on July 3rd, which is the eve of the Second Civil War. Just go to Twitter, you'll get it.
And the thing is, you have to read it with a Southern accent. No offense to anyone who might be listening, like out of the 3 listeners that we have who has a Southern accent, but I mean, it's hilarious.
No, but I don't think you can help but read it with like a Civil War era Southern accent. Like that's the voice in my head.
So, just for example, this is a relatively non controversial one and it's pretty funny. I've been in touch with Frederick Douglass, and he may join us at the Battle of the Big Lee. He looks forward to finally getting the recognition he so deserves.
They are so great. It's so much fun. It like I know it is such a distraction, but who doesn't need a great distraction? And that's what the shows like Preacher or Walking Dead or Westworld are for me. There are a couple of shows that I watch. The Good Fight, which is highly political, very left leaning. So I mean, there's some that I do engage in, but
wait, we're left leaning. Just kidding.
I don't think we're leaning anymore. I think we're pretty much toppled over. So, but this is our escapism. And
my beloved wife, I beseech thee to get thee busy knitting more pink pussy hats. We find that they enrage the enemy and cause them to fall about in consternation.
Good word usage.
Sorry.
It is so much fun.
I blame this on you.
It is totally my fault. I told Diane about this like seconds before we went to podcasting air, and it is a rabbit hole. I mean, like just going on to any funny Twitter hashtag is, I mean, you'll be up for days. Brew a pot of coffee and get yourself some swamp consomme because you're in it for the long haul.
Little chum, a little swamp consomme.
I love that he put the turtle in there because, like, then you have a little shellfish.
Yes. It's just protein.
It's just protein, which, by the smell of your colostomy bag, you're going to need some.
That was so disgusting.
It was so green. It was so green.
Serotonin's up.
I really want to know what was actually in the bag. It had to be like kale salad or something all ground up.
I'm not a giant kale fan anyway. It has to be really done right. Now I don't think I'll ever eat kale again.
Well, that's okay, because kale is awful, and so is quinoa. Stop eating that crap. Stop trying to make it a thing.
Quinoa is not awful.
Quinoa is awful.
It tastes like little turtle shells.
I prefer my couscous or bulgur or something. Quinoa was just like hot sand.
Quinoa tastes like Tulip's toenails.
Oh, there are worse toenails to be eating.
Right. Jody's.
Jody's. So that is disappointing that we're not even in the top 25.
I know, and I don't know how much longer AMC is going to put up with it. I see them making a big fuss out of Dietland, and I'm kind of worried that's going to be their next big cash cow.
Have you watched it? Is it on yet?
It is on. I have not watched it. I just don't think I'm going to go there. I think for the same reason I'm not watching Handmaid's Tale, it's just too close to real life.
Yeah, it didn't appeal to me. For being an uber lefty feminist chick, there are just some things where I'm like, Sex and the City. It never hit home for me. It wasn't a thing for me. Maybe I was too young. What's funny though is like I think I've seen like a third of like 2 different episodes. I didn't see the first movie, but I absolutely love the second movie. Anytime it's on cable, like I have to watch it. Like,
honestly, I have never watched any of it.
And I think it's because it takes place in Abu Dhabi. And I love the Middle East is just so beautiful. I've always wanted to visit, but I don't think it's really the place for me. Most places, even the more forward-thinking places, I think I would have a tough time as an unmarried woman.
Being a short, opinionated white chick, yeah, it would probably be a bad place for you to go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I live in a red state and it's tough enough.
All right, title. So the title of this episode was Sons of
Sons of
Bitches,
bitches.
which you were right. You guessed that was what God said to Tulip.
I did not guess that. It was the clever people on the internet.
Ah,
Yeah, I think I gave my credit last time.
the people of the tubes.
Yeah, yeah, the ones on the interwebs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who it was, but I that was not an original thought of mine. That was speculation by others on the internet, and they were right. So congratulations to them.
Congratulations, Internet.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
so I'm thinking that God is referring to the Grail, to Grail Industries.
He must be, but again, like I said last episode, why doesn't he just do it himself? I mean, I know he's on his little staycation or whatever the hell he's on, but and like his sex tourism to Earth or whatever he's doing. But so like, why can't he just take out the Grail? He's here, he's in the area.
Do you think maybe he just has lost power because he's off doing his little tour of the Earth, so he doesn't have the power to do it?
He's still got some power.
Yeah, I
Like
don't
he has,
know.
yeah. So uh, this must be God testing Tulip. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so I am thinking that he's meaning the sons of bitches are the Grail. But I mean, the Boyds and the Langelles are kind of blasphemers with their voodoo Cajun magic.
Is that the whole thing between the Boyds and the Langelles? Are the Boyds the other voodoo group and they're
Oh
the group?
yeah,
Thank you. I
yeah.
have been struggling with that. I feel kind of stupid. I'm like, maybe that's the competition that Madame Langelle is complaining about, and that's why the Boyds are such a big deal.
Yeah, it seems like they've always been rivals because when Jesse was talking to the undercover cop and he's like, "No, sir, we don't do that
Oh, I
thing around here."
missed that.
But I hear they do it down at the Boyd's place, officer.
I missed that totally.
Yeah,
Okay, that
and
makes a lot
then
more sense.
the when Jody and Jesse, mainly
When they
Jody, when
go.
Jody,
Yeah.
yeah, when he went to get the battery for Tulip, the
Transboil.
transpoil, that's what it was. Um, they panned across a storefront in front of the hotel that they were all in. They panned across the storefront that had one of the psychic hands with the eye in it. It was Madame
Okay.
Boyd psychic. Yeah,
Well, and it makes sense that they would have Transboil. That
right.
that would be the place where that our intrepid heroes would go to get Transboil.
And in the
Okay, I
beginning,
feel like I'm caught up now.
well, and in the beginning when Jesse was talking to a creepy science teacher dude, he was like, "Well, the Boyds are cheaper, but I hear Madame Langelle is the best, and I'm willing to pay for the best."
Okay, so
So
I have to say, and I'm totally already going down the word. I'm skipping everything else and going straight to the word.
we usually
Did
do.
you figure out that that was the person who asked for Jesse's help at the very end?
Yes.
I was like,
And
oh my god!
the only reason why I
Ah!
recognized him was this horrible shirt that they were
Shirt,
running him down
yes,
in. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that like late 70s, early
Early
80ish. Like,
80s, like that
yeah.
pink 80s shirt. Yep.
Yeah.
No, that was awesome.
Yeah. And that kind of explains from the last episode, the guy coming into the kitchen with Jesse's mom there and being like, "I want it back."
Oh, he was
Yeah,
looking for
and
his
yeah,
soul.
and then she told Jody to take him back to the tomb. So
Ah,
Again, we are getting way into the word, but apparently when Madame Logel sucks your soul, it doesn't kill you. It just leaves you broken and you're in the
In the
tombs,
tombs.
the fighting ring, the pit, whatever.
The tombs.
Yeah, it's the tombs, but I mean, what's it for? Like,
Well, it's to hold the wards.
mm, but it kind of looks like it may be some sort of sideshow also.
Well, it certainly looks that way, doesn't it, from the previews?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Jesse in the top hat. That's a good
Oh,
look.
yeah, the top hat's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so real quick, our writer was a woman named Sarah Goodman, and we've seen her name with Preacher before. She wrote Backdoors, Damsels, and Monster Swamp.
Ooh, those are some good
Well,
episodes.
and Monster Swamp, I distinctly remember that was a favorite for the both of us.
Yes, it was. That one takes me back.
Yeah. So, and she also has been a producer on multiple episodes of Preacher.
Huh.
So, Michael Slovis directed again. I'm not going to go back into who Michael Slovis is because we've talked about him ad nauseum. So, do you want to talk about our featured cast?
Sure. So, the reason why I chose Jeremy Childs, aka Jody, is because he took over AMC Preacher's Instagram over the
Oh,
weekend.
did he really?
Yeah, hashtag Sunday, not Sunday, Preacher.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so he posted these like 1 minute clips of him talking to Preacher, Preacher fans. And now I can't remember what he called. I think parishioners. He's greetings parishioners. So
he does. He calls
yeah.
it. Yeah, I think he calls them parishioners.
Yeah, and so he did like these little 1 minute and like there was one where he's like talking about kombucha tea, how he got turned on to kombucha tea from the set of Preacher, and he's drinking it out of an Angelville glass, and just they were cute little clips. And Betty Buckley also retweets him and re-Instagrams him. Like what is that? Re-instas him? What is the Instagram version of retweeting?
I don't know.
Oh.
Shares his stuff on Instagram.
Yeah, I guess. There should be a word for it.
I'm sure there's a word for it. You and I just aren't hip enough to know what the word is.
No, not cool enough. But so I found his stuff through Betty Buckley and things like that. You can follow her, BL Buckley, and you can follow Jeremy Childs on Twitter or Instagram, JWChilds2.
Not to be confused with Jeremy Child, the football player. Childs.
Yes.
I found this out when I was doing the Google earlier.
Like American football or
American football, I think. Pretty sure.
Like I was like,
didn't dig that deep.
The World Cup is going on, so I could see that being a huge draw for Jeremy Child, no plural.
Correct.
So Di and I were just talking before the episode that Jeremy Childs is one of those people that you're like, you see him and you're like, I know him from something. But apparently she and I know him from nothing, because I looked through his IMDb profile and I don't think I have seen one thing he has ever been in.
Okay, ditto, and that makes me feel really bad because he has done a ton of stuff.
Yeah, he's been series regulars on a lot of TV shows. He's done a lot of movies, but I do have to say he is coming up in a movie. It is not on his IMDb profile. He is sharing it through Twitter, and it comes out in 2019. But there is a teaser trailer on YouTube, and the movie is called The Dead Center, and it looks super creepy. It looks awesome.
Good.
Yeah, so it's called The Dead Center. If you go to YouTube and search for it, you can probably find the teaser trailer, or you can find it on Twitter. Like I said, it is nowhere on IMDb, and it doesn't come out till 2019. So that's what I'm going to have to kind of put a tickler for in the back of my brain to keep an eye out for. Because it kind of looks a little indie-ish. It kind of looks like it's maybe going to like be at Sundance or something like that, and it's not going to be like a mega release. So here in Juneau, we have like 2 theaters that have a total of 5-6 screens. So we don't get a lot of the smaller movies here. So it's going to be one that I'm going to have to go look for when it's out of theaters. So The Dead Center.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll have to send you the YouTube for it. It looks really good. But
well, so speaking of YouTube, I wanted to share the only cool thing that I found because I just did a little bit of searching before we got online.
Right.
So he's involved with a YouTube channel called the Nether Region. Did you find that?
I did not, but I have seen I think the hashtag, or he shares stuff from the Nether Region.
So there is like a 20-minute reaction video to episode 2, to this episode, and I got most of the way through it, and it's been really fun to watch these because he and his buddies are Preacher fans from way back.
Yes, that is something that I found.
Like, he was a hardcore Preacher fan long before the season or the series was even dreamed of. He was reading the books when they were original books.
Right. So what I found out is he's from Nashville, Tennessee. He went into his local comic book store and he was looking for Jonah Hex books, Bronze Era. And the guy only had a couple, and he's like, well, how about you try this? And it was Preacher, and it was like the third book, the third comic book. And so he's into quote unquote Western comics, and this was kind of billed to him as a Western comic.
Sure, probably because Saint of Killers and
yes. And
yeah.
So he was immediately hooked, and he started a box at his local comic book store, which this is a new term for me. Starting a box means that you can come in once a month and pick up the new releases for the things that you basically subscribe to.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's like, starting a P.O. box, only the only thing you get is comic books.
See, if we were cool like Phil and Lilith, we would know that.
They probably are like, oh, of course, a box. And so one of the 4 books he got every month was Preacher, and this was way back in 1998. Mm-hmm. Way back, you kids. That was
20 years ago.
That was the year I graduated.
Oh my God.
My high school reunion was just this last weekend. I did not go.
My 30 year was this last weekend. I did not go.
Not even interested. Not at all. Not even the slightest.
Didn't like most of those people the first time around.
My friend and I, who we graduated the same year, but we actually didn't know each other in high school, and we're really good friends now. He and I were texting about it this weekend, and he's like, I accidentally ran into the beach party of everyone, because of course it's not just a reunion, it's the reunion weekend, because this is a destination reunion for those people who don't live in town. You have to fly back here, and it's like $900 to have a round trip ticket in and out of Juneau. And so they do stuff all weekend, and the weather's been beautiful. So he went hiking on one of the trails, and it starts at one of the beaches. And so he actually hiked into and he's like, oh, it was like, no.
Did he like break out in hives?
Yeah, he was like, gotta go. But it was
honestly, there are like a handful of people. There are like 5 people I would have really liked to have seen.
It's different now with social media. We all know what each other's doing in Facebook. It's not like, you go to a high school reunion, you see pictures of people's kids that you haven't seen before. You see that crap every day, and you hide them because you don't want to see any more of their kids for their gym selfies or whatever. And so, not even interested. But he's been a Preacher fan for 20 years.
Let's just clarify, Jeremy Childs, not your friend.
Not my friend. Yeah, no. So Jeremy Childs has been a Preacher fan since book 3, and he's followed the different incarnations of, it's going to be an HBO series, and then maybe we're going to turn it into a feature film, and no, it's going to be on cable, and so he's been waiting for this moment for 20 years, and then he gets the casting call to be Jody. Angelville's enforcer. And of course, he jumped at it, and he is so in awe and absolutely loves doing the role and being on the set. And he's like, we work 13, 14-hour days, and nobody complains about anything. It's
He
so much
really sounds like he's
fun.
loving it.
Yes, yes,
And he talked about the set kind of the way that people from The Walking Dead talk about the set on The Walking Dead. Just
yeah.
that everybody's really great, everyone's really gracious, they really enjoy each other's company, that there's
And they
not a bunch of ego.
no, and they all work very, very hard. Uh, so what the thing that he did, like day one of shooting for him, they went immediately into stunts and the fight scenes. And I guess I never gave it much thought, but he talked about how long it takes to film a fight scene because it's all choreographed beforehand, and they have to kind of piece it together and shoot different angles. And he's like, so, one fight scene can take up a week of 2 or 3 hours of shooting just it for the day. So, I mean, there's a ton of work that goes, and they make it look amazing. It's not just like pointing a camera at someone and saying, okay, say your dialogue. Everyone's moving, everything, and you have to make sure everyone's safe and that it looks realistic, and it's amazing. So
One of the things that he said in the reaction for episode 2 was that they film on Preacher like they're filming a movie. They don't film like they're filming a TV series.
oh, that's cool.
And apparently more coverage with cameras, more coverage, more angles. That it's just really a much higher budget, higher quality filming than on TV series, generally speaking.
Well, if you look at like the different lightings they use, or the camera angles, or just the way that it's filmed and shot and shown, it's very stylized. It's very, like you are like a comic book, like you are doing the story boxes in the comic book.
They were talking about the scene where Tulip picks up the stuffed dog.
Mm.
And they were saying that the amount of detail just in that scene alone was really incredible for a TV series.
I noticed that room. I was like, a basket of old, like, gnarly stuffed animals that's been sitting in that room forever. Like, everything's just so detailed. And I noticed it in Dennis's apartment in New Orleans.
Oh, right.
That everything was just so detailed. I mean, down to the mismatched lamps that sort of are in the same kind of like maybe 1960s New Orleans style, or like it just, and like I mentioned it at one point that the one of the light switches in the kitchens, I mean, it looks like a greasy hand has flipped that light switch on and off and on and off for years. But I mean, everything is so detailed. It's just amazing to look at. I would love to be like a set designer or prop master or something on those kind of sets.
Well, it sounds like they really do put a lot of effort into it from behind the scenes, from our featured cast member.
Yes, yes. And I really wish that more people would appreciate the show.
I agree.
But so Di and I were trying to figure out how tall Jeremy Childs is, because dude looks like a refrigerator.
Right? He looks giant.
Yeah, he is definitely, that is great casting. As the pictures, the scenes that I have seen from the book of Jodie in the comic book, it's amazing casting. But the only thing that we could come up with is that Jodie Childs is 6 foot, 183. He looks so much bigger than that, and it has to be some sort of forced perspective where they make everyone around him look smaller, or they kind of shoot him at an up angle so that he looks like he's taller than like the truck. And I cannot believe the dude is only 6 foot. Like, he just looks huge.
I think I'm going to have to find the Nether region on Facebook and just send him a question.
Dude, how tall are you?
Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so I think that is all that I had for Jody Childs, or I'm sorry, Jody Childs, Jeremy Childs, who plays Jody. Um, but yeah, so I think we're gonna see a lot of him because oh, one of the things that he said in one of his interviews is it's not in the comic books, but they're sort of playing the role of Jody off like he was in love with Jesse's mother. And you kind of got that feeling with their interaction in episode 1. Do you remember that at all?
When he comes up to her room.
Yeah, yeah. And he killed Jesse's dad. So, of course, he
Oh.
was kind of killing his rival. So, that might be an angle that they will explore further throughout the season. But I just thought it was an interesting way to play the role because, I definitely got that vibe in episode 1 that he, but he is definitely the enforcer. And when Madame Lagelle said hold her down where she could cut her open, he obeyed. So he's a complex guy.
I'm texting him now on the Nether region on Facebook.
Well, his Twitter and his Instagram seems to be all about his work, and he does retweet a lot of the places that follow him, or I think there's another like preacher fan site that he retweets a lot. So hey, maybe we'll get a shout out from him.
Maybe we'll get a mention. You never know.
So I have to say, Di and I were not big fans of Jeremy Childs before, but we are now. So we will have to check out his past works, and definitely the Dead Center. It looks amazing.
He's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So that is Jeremy Childs.
All right. Well, that kind of leads to our gospel, Job, and Revelation. So tell me your gospel.
My gospel was the organ grinder.
It was pretty awesome.
I loved it to find out that is how swamp consomme is made, and also being an amazingly effectively terrifying threat of death.
They really did rattle Featherstone and Hoover pretty well.
Yeah, she was singing Onward Christian Soldier.
Which was pretty awesome.
It was. It definitely was. But like Jody was just so nonchalant about throwing everything in and telling the story about how the half raccoon escaped, and that scream will haunt you forever. Like, oh, that was truly like the only thing I could think comparatively, like if I were in that situation, it would not be funny preacher organ grinder. This is Texas Chainsaw Massacre level. Could you imagine? They are going to grind you up, drink your liquid, and make sausage out of the rest.
Ew, drink your liquid. That's just a gross way to think about it. Ugh.
You are gator chum at that point. That's seriously, and that's exactly what I thought was this would be a great like Texas Chainsaw Massacre New Orleans style. Just because like Jody looks like a dude that should be wearing Leatherface, Yeah.
We totally have the right cast.
Yeah, definitely.
And when Cass looked at TC and was like, tell me you're the worst person here, and he was like, no.
And I love it when like Hoover escaped. Like Featherstone was like all ready to go into the grinder.
No, Jesse let him go.
Did
you catch that? Yeah, Jesse was like, no, I let him go.
Oh, I didn't catch that. Okay.
Because she was going on and on to Jesse about he's, special ops, and you'll be amazed by how incredibly adept he is and blah, 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 blah. Just like, oh, come on. I untied him and let him go.
Okay, and that actually reminded me of one of the Indiana Jones movies, and I can't remember which one it was.
Oh, it's the one with Sean Connery, and it's the Last Crusade, and he's talking about Denholm Elliott's character being able to
Yes.
blend in.
Yeah, he'll
Yes,
he'll drop off the map. He'll blend in. He'll
and then then they
he speaks a
blast him, and
dozen
he's
different
like,
languages.
"Excuse me, hello, hello."
Yes, I seriously I imagined Hoover doing that. Did
Yeah.
any of you speak English? Like I totally. But then again, Hoover is in the Grail, so I mean he did have to pass some some testing stuff, kind of like Herr Starr did.
That's true.
So
I think they must have loosened their standards a bit after Hair Star.
yeah, yeah. Because I can't imagine that he was first in his class. Hoover.
Hoover, no, I don't think
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So I just loved that whole scene of the organ grinder and then the whole you'll never find him, he got away, and just yeah, that was my gospel. I thought it was funny, and like if it weren't funny, it would have been genuinely terrifying. But that is how swamp consomme is made. So it's funny.
Ew. I'm so not into the idea of swamp consomme anymore.
It's delicious. I've had 5 bloody bowls of it already. I'm a pig.
Well, my gospel was the interchange between Tulip and Cassidy after Cassidy gets shot.
Ah,
I just
yes.
thought it was really funny, and I needed some levity.
Yes. So
So it was
that
kind of
is
small, but that was my gospel.
okay. So, but that is actually we are getting into why I rated the episode so highly. Is yes, this is a middle book. Not much really happened, but it kind of did. But it was the little moments like that. I loved that interplay between those two. And then I loved the interplay in the bedroom after Cassidy fed Tulip swamp consomme of Jesse and Cassidy and Tulip. And, like after all the crap they had been through and, at the end of the episode, or the episode, the scene ends with Cassidy going, yeah, let's go kill some people. Like it was the little moments through this episode that I absolutely loved. It totally made the episode for me, and that was definitely at the top of the list, is their little interplay, because it was so lighthearted in that, like, he's like, at least they don't kill me like they do you, and she's like, really, Cassidy, you're gonna go there?
It was pretty funny. But
Yeah,
then she says she loves him, and he gets all tortured looking, and it was so painful.
it was. Yeah, I love when he collapsed backwards and his hat came forward. He's like, ow. Yeah, it was a great scene.
Yeah. So that was my gospel.
Excellent.
So what was your Job?
Um, my Job is, I don't think that I put one down. I rated this episode so highly, didn't I?
You did, actually.
No, I don't have like a whole lot of bad to say about it.
Well, I will
Uh,
tell you then, mine was Dad and Dad are fighting.
yeah.
Even
Yeah.
worse than Mom and Dad fighting is Dad and Dad fighting.
Yeah, that and see that was mine. What the last episode of last season that he's like Cassidy told Jesse that he really hates him.
Oh, and Jesse was just plain ugly when he was like, yeah, so thanks for everything. It's time to go now.
Yeah,
Ugh! After all they've been through, that's literally how he's gonna get rid of Cassidy. That's how he's
can't
gonna say goodbye.
can't be. Except Cassidy's making a new friend.
What,
Him,
Madame Langelle?
no, him and
Oh, TC.
TC getting
Yeah.
high together. That was great.
It was. Do you like gummy bears? Do you like backgammon? Do you like drugs?
Ding!
Yeah, ding, 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 ding.
Oh, so I really wasn't too thrilled about just about every scene with Hair Star in this episode. Okay, so the whole thing with the Hare Krishnas.
Okay, come on. The fight scene with the Hare Krishnas.
Oh
Come
no,
on, people now. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Come on, that was awesome.
no,
That was the best.
but I'm like, so why is he backing Humperdew? Why is he insisting on everyone follow Humperdew as
Well,
Messiah?
because he's buying time until Jesse has come to his senses.
I feel like I feel like there's something missing in that all of a sudden everybody has to put their weight behind one Messiah or another. I mean, we have 5,000 different religions and he's trying to recruit all of them to one. Good luck with that.
He's
Like,
getting a lot of pressure from his Allfather.
we've been warring about this stuff for millennia.
What did the Hare Krishna guy say? Suck it, you fascist, or something along those lines.
I just love him that the Hair Star just kicks him in the balls. Like,
Yeah.
let's save some time on this one, dude. But and then when he was in Angelville, the double cross was really good.
Yeah,
Like,
the double cross was good.
but I don't know, like he totally irked me, and I felt like I was missing, like there was a scene cut or something that all of a sudden he's on Team Humperdew because Jesse's not coming around quick enough.
But again, I think he's buying time.
For what?
Well, like I said, he's getting a lot of pressure from his Allfather. He told Jesse that.
Yeah.
And he's got to put on a united front for all of these different sons of bitches.
Why? I mean, if Grail Industries was planning global domination, all they have to do is, like, I don't know, buy Apple or something, or Facebook, or, something that none of us can live without at this point. And I mean, they run ambulances and television stations, and they're like Walmart. Like, they own everything and they control everything. And yeah, so
I'm just trying to come up with a creditable explanation.
of what?
Of why Hairstar has to all of a sudden back Humperdew.
Oh, okay.
I guess I'm not doing a very good job.
I mean, it's got to be for some sort of global domination plot, but religion is not going to do that. Like I said, we have like 5,000 different religions, and then there's people who don't believe in anything and wouldn't. Like, if an angel came down from heaven right now, like, there would be they would be like, no, there's some sort of scientific explanation for that. Like, you can't unite the world through religion. You can't rule the world through religion. It's been tried. It's failed. We're over it. Move on. Buy a social media company.
Listen to you.
Oh, like I haven't had thoughts of global domination. I'm starting very small with a podcast.
We might get an answer from Jeremy Childs. You never know. It's just the beginning.
Well, look at the chicks from My Favorite Murder.
Right?
Like, they were super excited about, like, their 700 fans on Facebook on, like, their third episode. And now they, like, have to add tour dates because their tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands Twitter followers get mad because their tickets sell out in 10 minutes. Yeah. So we all got to start somewhere. And apparently Grail Industries is starting with Humperdew. Humperdew 2020.
Humperdew Palin 2020.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it, man.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out who the VP was that we were gonna.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep, Humperdew Palin 2020. Wow, that sounds like a follow-up to the X-rated version of Palin's story. Yeah.
All right. What was your revelation?
My revelation was the not napkin.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The napkin with the blood on it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We see what Jesse's blood can do.
Yeah, she could kill him at any time. You know, we knew that it was. I feel like it does more than just like a ghetto voodoo doll.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that she could do some scary stuff with that and like her colostomy bag or something.
She was
Like,
probably just putting a little touch of fear into him.
yeah, she had to tighten the noose a little bit to put the fear of Madame Langelle in him, because he snapped right to it and went down and started sweeping out the tombs. You know, I mean, there was no messing with Grandma, and we kind of, he knows why. He knows better than anybody, what she can do, because he used to be the salesman for Angelville. With the science teacher in the beginning, we saw that, he kind of sold her and people bought her, and when they didn't pay what people got, and I, of course, he wasn't entirely sure. He thought that they were going to, have their fingernails pulled out, but it was really they're getting their soul sucked out, which I knew it. I knew that somehow she was feeding off of those people in the tombs,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how she keeps herself young, and that's why she's like in a wheelchair with a colostomy bag and an IV drip and everything, is
Because
because,
she doesn't have those souls.
yeah, Jesse's been away a long time and he
Yeah.
has a lot of souls. So,
Yes.
yeah, this is very, very exciting territory.
So that was
Uh,
totally my revelation was, oh my god, this is how Madame Langelle stays alive.
yes.
And she sucked her daughter's soul.
So, what is that? That's going to be a thing. Like, okay, so call back to the last episode of season 2, where Tulip stumbles upon Grail Industries' little soul device.
Right? So that is something that was the other part of my revelation is that there's something bigger about souls because we're dealing with Jesse's soul and we're dealing with the Grail having souls. So it's
Right.
more than just Madame Langelle staying alive and feasting on people's souls. There's more than that.
Well, and so can we suck the soul out of Madame Langelle? Can we, like, what can we do with these souls, and can we put them back in people? Can we suck them out of her and put them back in the people in the tombs? Because,
I
yeah,
don't know. Is that how Jesse helps those people?
maybe
And is his
Jesse.
mom in the tombs or is she dead?
Well, they were standing over her grave, but of
Oh,
course,
that's true.
we've in we talked about the we talked about the upcoming season 3, and in one of the scenes there is Tulip crawling from a grave, and I was like, is that a nightmare that Jesse has? What's going on with that? So, uh, you know, maybe his mom is in the tombs and the headstone's a fake, or I don't know. It's all voodoo hoodoo magic stuff. So, anything is possible.
Which, by the way, did you see the chicken again?
Yes. In fact, I actually wrote that chicken is in more episodes than Hoover at this point, because he's coming up in the next episode too.
Hashtag chicken sighting.
Yes. Yes. Hashtag immortal chicken. Hashtag Angelville. So yeah. I don't know, but I was super interested in Jessie and Madame Langelle are standing over Jesse's grave, and she's talking about how much she loved
Jesse's mom's grave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah. How about how much she loved her daughter and blah blah blah. And Jessie says, how, oh, he said something about then how could you do that to her or
Hmm.
something like that. And it's like, Jesse was a baby when that happened. How does he know?
Well, I suspect that when they had him stay and watch what happened to the science teacher, they probably told him the story then.
You think so?
If
Or do you think,
TC and Jody had not already tortured him with that story.
yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And of course, Grandma's capable of anything at this point. So I'm
Hmm.
sure if Jesse didn't exactly know the details, maybe he knew that she was just as tortured as he was as a young person, as a child.
I'm sure that they have somehow used it against Jesse. I'm sure he knows the story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so that kind of leads into the word.
Yeah.
Anything specific that you wanted to bring up from the word? We've kind of ventured into some of that territory.
So I am of the understanding that gators don't like human meat. So all these bodies that they're sinking into the swamp, sure, they're going to desiccate and decay in the swamp. But so an episode, a very, very early episode of the show, the movie or the show, Nip Tuck,
Mm-hmm.
way, way back, uh, they actually had to tie hams to the human body that they were trying to get rid of because gators don't actually like human meat. They will eat it if they need to, but it's just like in Alaska, bears don't actually eat human. They just attack and then leave the body. They don't actually consume the meat. We taste terrible.
I
You
didn't know
have
that.
you have to tie ham to us.
I did not know that.
So, yeah, I just it's one of those things that every time I see like stuff where I mean, you can sink a body and it'll decay and everything like that, but to plan on gators eating the body, every time I see that in a movie or a television show, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not a thing. Like that other
Hashtag that's not a thing.
that other show that I watched years ago told me that it wasn't a thing, and that's the one I believe. So it's not a thing.
And of course, if it was on Nip Tuck, it's got to be true.
It has to be true. It was so medically accurate. Of course, it just could be me out of my medicinal crack going on about things.
But you do have
Uh,
gummy bears and backgammon, so it's all good.
Green gummy bears, not the red ones.
Well, he eats the red ones sometimes.
Sometimes. Oh.
Did you notice the reference to the Big Lebowski again?
Oh, yes. Okay, so I had to rewind it 3 times to actually get that conversation because the only thing I heard was the Big Lebowski. The rest of it was Cassidy gibberish.
So basically, that he couldn't believe that the geniuses who made the movie Miller's Crossing
Miller's Crossing, I couldn't catch like 3 times, and I'm like, what is he saying?
were behind the Big Lebowski,
Yes.
which we both know is a shite film.
I loved like Tulip was just like, we are not
Oh
into this. Not this again. If it's not this, it's the baby foreskins in
That's
the formula.
right.
That hasn't come up in about 6 episodes. We need to hear that about
I was
that
going to
again.
say, we're going to hear about that again.
Yep.
There are some things that Cassidy just can't let go, and the Big Lebowski and the baby's foreskins, those are among them.
Yes. Of all the things. You would think he would talk about his Scottish friend who went to heaven and it was all talking deer. Like that would be a story I would repeat at nauseum, but no, it's foreskins.
Well, it is Cass.
It is. Oh, that's great. Um, so I don't know that if I were Madame Logel, I think that you would have to pay me up front for my spells. You couldn't get on a payment plan unless, of course, she accounts for some loss and that's how she gets
Right.
the souls in the tombs. Like she plans on people falling behind on their payment.
I mean, I'm
So
thinking it's actually not a bad thing because
yeah,
ultimately, if what she gets are souls,
she gets a little bit of the money, and then she gets the win and the people in the tombs.
lose their
So
souls.
yeah, yeah. So she 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 gets it coming and going.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think she's got it. She had a good racket when Jesse was recruiting for her, so once Jesse starts recruiting again,
God, and he is quite the young salesman, wasn't he?
he really
So
was.
he was our featured cast member on the season finale of season 2, and I was saying I hope we see some more of this young man because he's very good in this role, and he is a very convincing young Jesse,
He is. He's a good
and
young Jesse. I agree.
that the salesmanship where the guy's like, well, maybe I'll just break it to my wife and take my chances, and Jesse's like, really, dude, because this is gonna happen, and the guy's like, yeah,
It's
that.
gonna totally screw up the track for vice principal.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Ugh. And you're gonna have to marry the 17-year-old, and her parents aren't gonna like. Yeah. No, he is a good salesman.
Yep.
Yep.
Hence the reason Madame Langell wants him back.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's funny. Like I was like, well, why aren't people coming in? I mean, she's got Jody and TC, but I guess salesmanship really isn't their forte.
I'm having a hard time envisioning Jody as a salesperson.
Yeah, Jody, he would just he would punch you and drag you.
Right, he would just smash heads together and drag you both in.
Yeah, no, and TC would get you high or yeah, yeah. I cannot like I said, I cannot wait to do a TC as our featured cast member.
Well, I suspect
Um
unless we get a big surprise, it'll have to be next week.
yeah, yeah. Um Colin Cunningham, he's one where I look at him and I'm like, I know you from somewhere. And then I look at his IMDb and I'm like, oh my God, I know you from everything. So I love the guy.
It'll be the total opposite of Jeremy Child.
It will be
Childs.
Childs with an S. Yes. And speaking of him, I love that he had a dream about Lucy Liu. Not Lucy Lawless, Diane.
I knew you were going to bring that up. I knew it.
Yes.
You just can't let it go.
Nope. Nope. Hashtag it's a thing. Yeah, I had to pause and go back because I laughed so hard at that because I was like, oh my God, it's Lucy Liu. That's so great.
Well, and the point that the guys on the Nether region made when they were talking about that scene, which really is kind of squicky if you think about it, is he's describing
Oh,
assaulting her,
yes,
which
and
is
that,
ugh.
but it was also super sad in that, he's like, and she was just looking up at me like, I don't necessarily hate you. I was like, oh my God, nobody loves this poor guy.
Tell me you're the worst person here.
Oh, not even close.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So I can't believe the dude who launched the goat. I can't believe he survived that explosion.
He launched a goat, for the love of God.
No, no, no. When they drove the little toy car up and it exploded at his
Yeah.
feet. Yeah, yeah. That was a super fun scene between Tulip and Cassidy.
Well,
when
it is magic, and there is voodoo involved, so he
very
could be like the
true.
chicken.
Very true. I hadn't thought of that. We have two sides with magic at this point.
He
Two
could
sides.
be their version of the chicken.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Oh, yeah. So,
I did not see any numbers, did you?
no. I think I probably should have though, because There's probably a couple on Mom's gravestone.
Oh, I suppose. I thought I watched it pretty carefully, but I didn't look at gravestones.
Yeah.
There were no numbers on the sign leading down to the tombs.
No.
The only number that I can think of offhand was Cassidy saying that he ate 3 bowls of consomme.
5.
Was it 5? I thought he said
5.
3.
No. And I love how he like just wandered into the kitchen and took a lid off a jar and just started sipping it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was like that has to like finding out what it is. It's
No, it
basically
totally has to be like sustenance
blood.
for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So he can't be grossed out by that.
Well, he can be, but it's not any worse than what he sups on usually anyway.
I was going to say this is the guy who spent half of the first half of last season eating stuff from the pet store.
That's right.
Right? Tulip was bringing him dogs, and we were like, don't kill the dog.
Right.
But
Hashtag does the dog die?
he learned his lesson because he let little Banjo go.
Oh, poor little Banjo.
Poor Banjo. Somebody needs to start a Twitter for Banjo and Photoshop him on like kind of like the wandering gnome, like Photoshop him like at the beach and at a bar with beautiful women around him and
There you go. That's what you need to do.
the happiest.
That's our
story
next
of
step to
Banjo.
glory.
It's all falling into place.
Your plan for world domination.
Step 1, podcast. Step 2, something. Step 3, world domination.
Via Banjo. Oh, I know what I was going to bring up. This has nothing to do with world domination, but it cracked me up so bad. So when Jody looks at Cass and says, "What's the deal with the hat?" and he's like, "Oh, I've got skin cancer. The worst kind, melatonin."
Melatonin, not,
I'm like,
not
"Oh,
melanoma,
my
melatonin.
God."
Of course, nobody batted an eye, though.
No. Oh, it was so funny.
That was. Do you see why I rated the episode so highly? There were so many little moments.
There really were some good one-liners.
Yeah. Yeah. I am always positive Patty. Not to be confused with hashtag permit Patty.
Thank you. I was totally going there in my head.
I know, because we're of the same mind.
Yes, we are.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you talked me off the ledge. I think it's probably about higher than a 3.25.
Okay, good. Good. But, don't forget to heat up your swamp consomme because it'll kill
It
whatever.
sterilizes it.
It sterilizes it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fine.
Ugh.
I'm sure there are, like, Cassidy had a really good point. You like hot dogs.
That cracked me up.
Yeah. I think, wasn't you that I was discussing this with, where it's like, people all over the world, I mean, haggis. That's disgusting.
Have you ever had haggis?
No, I'm
It
sure
actually
it's
tastes
delicious.
pretty good.
Yeah, I'm absolutely positive it is. I'm sure, like, the
It's
first time
completely disgusting, but it actually tastes pretty good.
sushi. I love sushi. It is raw fish, seaweed, and rice. And I love sushi. So like every culture has their, oh my God, that's disgusting. But
So
it's
you're
still...
building a case for swamp consomme.
Oh, I'm still totally on the side of swamp consomme. I mean, unless it's got like Hoover and Featherstone in it. Like I draw the line at cannibalism. But
No, so Jesse actually saved us from that.
yeah, but like, I've heard that possum meat is inedible. It is so disgusting. But apparently, if you mix it with turtle and raccoon, it's fine.
I think it must be.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
the little bit of protein you get from the shell.
and we need more protein. Calcium in the shell.
No, it's keratin too, so there's
Oh,
protein.
that's right. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like a fingernail,
Yeah.
like Tulip's fingernails.
Yum yum.
Yeah, so there's landlocked countries in this world that think eating fish is disgusting, and we grew up on salmon and halibut, so Everyone has their, that's disgusting, I would never try that, but I'm sure if you tried it, you might like it.
Swamp consomme.
Mm-mm-mm. Just gotta remember to heat it up.
Uh-oh, the dogs are fighting over the last bit of swamp consomme.
I thought it was the start of the Second Civil War.
I fear I cannot go on. The bone spurs are too much.
It is July 3rd, so we were actually hesitant to podcast tonight because fireworks will be going off and dogs will be barking. So it's impressive that we're this far into it and that's the first dog bark.
It's not dark enough here yet.
Oh, like I said, we've had fireworks going off since June 1st and it'll go through August in my neighborhood.
Ugh.
My dogs are non-reactive. And then we have some friends' dogs over because the friends are going to be away all night and through tomorrow. And they didn't want to lock their dogs in their house or in their kennels and have World War II start outside. Because, they would probably have clawed their way out of their kennels or chewed through a door or something. So,
Oh, the Second Civil War is fine, but World War II, no.
No. But so because my dogs are non-reactive to gunfire and fireworks and things like that, we're mellow. The dogs are mellow. The guest dogs are mellow. It's fine.
I always worry about the horses, and the horses end up being fine, but I always worry about them. It just stresses me out.
Well, Jupe's done some training with fireworks, hasn't he?
Actually, Jupe and Moon both have, and Skoogie is going through some despooking training later this month, so...
Very cool.
Yeah.
But the dogs, they will bark.
They probably will.
You live next to one of the bigger fireworks stands in the state.
Well, I live about 10 miles away from those fireworks stands, but there are morons who think that our neighborhood is actually a campground. So they treat it as such.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Nope, I am about 20 miles from the epicenter of what's happening in Juneau, and I am totally fine to stay 20 miles away from it. I'm not a big 4th of July fan, and it's the festivities. I don't like crowds, the noise, and no.
You and I are peas in a pod.
Yep. Give me some swamp consomme and a comfy chair. So, but that's about all I had for the episode.
Yeah, that's what I've got too.
Yeah, next episode looks good. Looks like we get a lot next time.
Yep, Jesse in a top hat.
Jesse in a top hat and God on a motorcycle.
Right.
Yep. So, with that, till the end of the world.
To the end of the world.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Have a good week.
Be safe.
Don't handle any fireworks.
Not with a closed hand.
Good night.
Good night.
I left his body in the woods and I took off running south. I left his body